Hey, Michael. Thanks for asking me to say a few things about the starting of New Hope and how that went and the impact that New Hope had on Chesterfield Presbyterian Church these last 25 years since it opened its doors in the year 2000. I've been thinking about it quite a bit for the last few days. I think I'm going to come down to about three things that I want to talk about that I think are important. And some of them, particularly the last one, is something I didn't realize at the time, that it's actually taken some more experience on my part and some aging and some different kind of reflecting that you do when you hit your 70s, to understand maybe one of the most important things that New Hope did. But I'll get to that. That'll be the last thing I talk about. First thing I want to talk about is just how important it is that as you think about something like that, and the elders along with you about starting a counseling center in a church setting, is to stay very, very clear on why you're doing it. What's your purpose? What's your mission? I think one of the most valuable things that happened as you were involved in those meetings for a year and a half or two before we ever opened our doors, is that we worked on that hard, and even around the coming up with a motto that could communicate to people what we were about. But even the idea that New Hope Counseling was a ministry of Covenant Presbyterian Church was an important factor to keep it clear what our purpose was. Our purpose really was to expand and enhance the ministry capacities of the pastoral staff and the church itself. In the counseling area, it created a way that the lead pastor and the associate pastor, when they were counseling people, they knew that they were limited in what they could do both in time and experience and skill, and that they're having New Hope as just right next door as part of the church ministry is there was another layer of care that they could offer, that was a really enhance their ministry and their ability to care for people and to truly be ministers to their whole flock. And part of that, an offshoot, something we didn't really plan on, was that we also ended up with people from other churches in the area coming to New Hope Counseling, other PCA churches and other churches that weren't in our denomination. And part of that is some people are afraid to expose themselves to their pastoral staff. Maybe they're worried about church discipline. I don't know. There can be lots of reasons for that. But it gave us a way with actually expanding our ministry, our pastor's ministry, the church's ministry to the broader area. So one thing is mission. Why are we doing that? And there are going to be lots of decisions if you decide to do this. Lots of decisions you're going to be making about how much whether you charge fees or not, and how much those fees are, and how much does the counselor get, and how much the agency, and all of those kind of business type matters. But you'll make those decisions differently if you remember what your mission is, and that your mission isn't to make a self-sustaining business. Your mission is to create something that cares for people, meets them where they are in a particular difficult time, and walks with them on their journey. So that leads into another thing, and it's just, how do you do this? Not just why do you do it, but how do you do this? And you're going to understand this. I'm saying this part for the others that might be listening to this. And the thing that was unique about New Hope grows from the uniqueness of the counseling program at Covenant Seminary. I mean, others know, I'm sure, that for decades in Christian counseling, there was this big debate between biblical counseling and integration. And as I look at it now, in hindsight, I think really that debate was about what the content we were going to use in our counseling. It really wasn't about our method. Both methods were actually pretty much the same. They were a cognitive behavioral method. And the cognitive elements, the content, the ideas, on the one side were more from the Bible, on the other side they were more from psychology. But in terms of the uniqueness of the counseling program at Covenant was that because of Richard Winter's being influenced by Francis Schaeffer, And Schaeffer's idea that Christ, I mean, that he preached a lot, it wasn't his original idea, but that Christ is Lord over all of life, was applied to counseling. And that led to a foundation for our thinking about counseling to really be in the Bible's presentation of what is real and what is true and how the universe is ordered, what that ordered cosmos, um, how it works and how God intends for our lives to work. And a big piece of that is that we're embedded in relationships. We're embodied creatures. We're whole creatures. But we're embedded in relationships, and through our relationships is how we grow into the people that God intends for us to be. And it's also, unfortunately, through those relationships, because we are in that stage in the story where we're conditioned by both the fall and the cross, is that those same relationships are also the relationships that do damage. So for us as counselors to be able to enter into people's lives, to establish a relationship with them that's actually productive, we often say that it's safe. Well, safety has a lot to do with accepting people right where they are, tuning in and really being able to hear them and that they know that they're heard, to being a person with them to come alongside, not over the top as an expert that's going to fix problems. And that our focus is much more about how do we help these people move forward in the journey that they're in, knowing that they're not alone, and that we're with them, but God's with them too. And that is the reality that we live in, that we live in relationship with God and with others and with ourselves. And that our counseling work through the relationship, not just in it, not just the context of the relationship, but the means of our work is actually the relationship that we have with people. And I think that's an important thing, that a church-based counseling center can be one of those unique places. And you, Michael, are one of those few people that I know actually that can set up and hire the right people and do that kind of work that truly is Christian counseling. It's what makes counseling Christian, as we recognize that it's through the relationship and the Holy Spirit's in the room with us at the same time relating to the people and all that's involved in that I know you understand well. The other thing that I find really, really important as I reflect back on it is one of the things that happened with New Hope, now starting back 25 years ago, is that it helped change or transform or reshape the culture of the church itself. It presented in a very clear picture to, say, the newcomers when they walk in the church, and that, sometimes we'd have some of our counselors talking up front in that ministry 5 minutes that Hugh Bartlett would do. And people would see a different kind of openness, a different kind of eagerness to care, a different level of acceptance than what maybe they've experienced in some churches. And, these days with the younger people under, 30, 35, 40 are leaving the church in droves. And part of that is because the church has been shaped more by culture than the church has shaped the culture itself, rather than creating a unique culture that's inviting and safe and caring, and not just about spiritual information or spiritual needs, but about all of life with people, and helping people to understand that the presence of God in their life is what brings peace, even as they wrestle with those very difficult things that we all wrestle with. And so that shaping of culture and reshaping the culture of Chesterfield Presbyterian, I think, was probably one of the most important things that God did through the establishment of that counseling center. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I may have raised some. I don't know. Just let me know. I'll be happy to get back with you all. Thanks.